mean, here's one of the strongest economies in our lifetime. You have one of the most extraordinary records of any president in our lifetime on manufacturing and industrial policy, that every single day, including the last few days this week in Pennsylvania, is making profound and consequential announcements about blue-collar workers and the fate and future of this country and our competitive strength. And it's not getting the attention because of the propaganda being spewed on those other networks.
It has been a brutal week in the world of MAGA. We saw Donald Trump fall asleep in court. We've seen all of the jurors seated for his trial. We saw Trump cancel a rally yesterday, very last minute, while all of his supporters were waiting. We saw Kristi Noem give a word salad, which I'm about to play, and it's nice to see that Gavin Newsom always comes through with the talking points when needed. If you agree with what he said and want to boost his message as well as mine, make sure to leave a like, make sure to comment a blue heart, and subscribe. I'm going to play more Gavin Newsom later, but first, let's watch this clip of Trump's canceled rally.
Trump, your favorite president of all time, hopefully. As you can see, there's some very bad weather heading in, and we're flying in a few minutes, but they really would prefer that we not come in because there's a certain danger to all of this, and we want to make sure that everybody is safe above all. And so they've asked us to ask people to leave the site and seek shelter.
Now, I have been to a lot of these events. I know the type of people that attend, and what you need to understand is that they treat it more like a sporting event rather than a serious political rally. They go there in all of their gear. They go there with speakers playing music. They get all hyped up. Sometimes they even put face paint on. I've talked to people with American flag face paint on. And then when Donald Trump shows up, they cheer and hoot and holler and act like it is the best thing in the world. So I'm sure these people were disappointed that Trump didn't show up, but they also got their fill of this camaraderie with all of these people that also believe the same wacky stuff they do. They feed off each other's energy, and they act like these events are indicative of his electoral strength. They always ask me, do you think Biden has these same rallies? And I say, no, because Biden doesn't have a cult following. We don't go out there and worship him because he's a politician. We recognize his flaws, and he's not some big messiah that we look up to. And also, even if you look at back in 2020, crowd size is not indicative of electoral strength. Bernie Sanders had these massive crowds, but he got washed in the primaries by Joe Biden. He didn't even make it to the general election. And then again, Biden couldn't draw these massive crowds because he didn't try and because of COVID, but we still saw him wash Trump when it came to the general election. So while I think these people were disappointed, they of course were happy to feed off this energy, and knowing them, they probably already have conspiracy theories about why Donald Trump couldn't show up. Oh, the deep state is trying to suppress him with using this or that. They probably think the deep state controls the weather. George Soros manufactured this. Either way, I digress. Let's watch this clip of Kristi Noem on CNN coming up with an absolute word salad. Her response is all over the place. All of her points are disconnected. It's like she had a script going into this, but she didn't know how to follow this script. It's honestly kind of embarrassing, and I'll break it down after.
Donald Trump himself acknowledged in 2018 that he authorized payments to Stormy Daniels and reimbursed Michael Cohen. We actually have the reimbursement checks to Cohen signed by Donald Trump. So those are the facts. Are you comfortable with this?
Michael Cohen worked for President Trump. President Trump paid his legal fees. He paid his Michael Cohen legal fees and bills, and that's what this trial will bring forward, hopefully, is the truth. What a ridiculous case that this is, and that it's based on the narrative today that is coming from a man who is proven to be a liar. So I'm hoping that this judge makes the right decision. I'm hoping these jurors can come in and be unbiased, and we'll let this case go forward in a swift manner that allows President Trump to get back on the campaign trail. Americans deserve to hear from their candidates, and the Democrats and the activists are using this trial to derail him, to keep him in court instead of out talking to Americans about what their real concerns are.
Okay, there is a lot to break down here. First of all, she couldn't even keep a coherent train of thought, and I get if you go on a show a little bit nervous and you stutter. I've been on a lot of shows where I go on, I stutter more than I like, but that's not what this was. She was jumping around from point to point, desperately trying to defend Donald Trump. Like when she said that Democrats are trying to use this trial to derail President Trump, Democrats had nothing to do with this trial. He was indicted by a grand jury of his peers in Manhattan a while back, and they found that there was enough evidence to proceed with this trial. Secondly, she makes the implication that the jurors may not be unbiased or that the judge himself may not be unbiased, but we saw all throughout the week they went through the process of voir dire and they weeded people out. Both the prosecution and the defense got to ask questions like, have you ever been to this type of rally? Have you ever been to this type of rally? What type of media do you consume? And it seems like everything worked as it was supposed to. We saw even on day one over 50 people get thrown out of the jury pool because they said they could not put their biases aside. On top of that, Judge Merchan said that he will not allow evidence in that is prejudicial to Donald Trump. For example, they can talk about the Access Hollywood tapes, but they cannot play the Access Hollywood tapes in court because it is too prejudicial to hear Donald Trump saying that himself. Another example, they cannot mention that Melania was pregnant at the time that Donald Trump cheated on her because that is too prejudicial. So this judge is very impartial. The jurors are very impartial. If anything, we should be worried about MAGA tampering with the jury pool. I mean, we even saw popular MAGA radio host Clay Travis say verbatim, if you're a Trump supporter in New York City who is part of the jury pool, do everything you can to get seated on the jury and then refuse to convict as a matter of principle, dooming the case via hung jury. It's the most patriotic thing you could do. He's urging his followers, his MAGA fan base, to commit a felony, but I mean, I guess who cares when everybody is a criminal from the top down, from the big guy Donald Trump to the January 6thers to the people in Donald Trump's cabinet like Roger Stone.
I just want to say for the record, there's absolutely no evidence that President Biden is involved in this. This is a case that is being brought in the state of New York by the Manhattan DA.
And that's what I think is remarkable, is that if you look at President Biden and what he's done and what his son has done and the fact that they are not being prosecuted for some of their crimes that has
nothing to do
really
with this.
Kind of unprecedented.
That has nothing to do
not
with this. So my question is...
True, completely different.
Yeah.
We have a judicial system right now that's being used against certain members of certain parties.
My other point that I want to make, Governor,
is... We appear to have a two...
You mentioned that he was paying his legal fees to Michael Cohen. One of the things that they are going to talk about in this trial is the fact that it wasn't just a retainer. It was actually a payment to Michael Cohen because Michael Cohen put the money out for Stormy Daniels on his own. But kind of big picture, Governor, if Donald Trump is convicted in this trial, will you still support him in November?
If my choice is between Joe Biden and Donald Trump every single day of the week, yes, I will support Donald Trump. I have from the very beginning.
I mean, this sentiment is very common among MAGA Republicans. Apparently, the party of law and order will still vote for Daddy Trump even if he is a convicted criminal. They have dropped all of their morals. They have dropped everything to support Donald Trump.
And so for me, we've got to meet people where they are, and we can't be in denial that they're in that space and they're getting all that noise 24/7. And what I don't want to happen is that to bleed out into other networks. So we're responding on their terms. We got to respond on our terms. And we have the issue of our time, moral issue around issue of women and girls. They want to deny access not just to reproductive care, but the future of women and girls, their life, their self-determination. I mean, this is profound. How can women support Donald Trump for election this November? And I think that's the cause and case we need to make with vigor and passion and purpose, because there's profound meaning and consequences if we fall short on that and get into these sideshows that are made as events that advantage Trump and don't advantage the American people and women and girls that count on us.
Gavin Newsom, as always, is right. Republicans have essentially dug their own grave with some of these laws they've been passing, like the one from 1864, but now the onus is on us to relentlessly spread this message and make sure we bury Republicans in this grave they dug themselves. We need to make sure everyone in our life, including the women, including the Gen Zers, including just fathers who have a wife or a daughter they care about, understand what is at stake this election. My name is Adam Mockler. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment a blue heart, subscribe, and have a great day.